Hey kids, I'm Annie Barrows, which means I am the author of Ivy and Bean. That's my name right there. This proves that I wrote all of the words in the books. And over here is the name Sophie Blackall. Sophie draws all the pictures in the books. And Sophie and I have decided that we want to do a read aloud. We want to read the whole book of Ivy and Bean. I'll start with the first chapter, then she'll read the second chapter. Bing, bang, bing, bang, bong, until we're all finished with the whole book. So, I'm sure it won't surprise you to learn that we are going to start with the first chapter today. Maybe you want to go get your book so you can read along. In case you want to go get the book so you can read along, I'll just sit here and talk for a minute. I'll talk about the things that you can see behind me on the shelf. You can see an package of Ivy and Bean books. You can see a bunch of other grown-up books. You can see a little fruit friend I have. You can see some other books I wrote behind me. Oh, are you back? Good. Okay, are you ready? Okay, we're going to start with the first chapter. I'll show you what it looks like. Chapter 1. No thanks. Before Bean met Ivy, she didn't like her. Bean's mother was always saying that Bean should try playing with the new girl across the street, but Bean didn't want to. "She's 7 years old, just like you," said her mother, "and she seems like such a nice girl. You could be friends." "I already have friends," said Bean. And that was true. Bean did have a lot of friends. But really, she didn't want to play with Ivy because her mother was right. Ivy did seem like such a nice girl. Even from across the street, she looked nice. But nice, Bean knew, is another word for boring. Ivy sat nicely on her front steps. Bean zipped around a yard and yelled. Ivy had long, curly red hair pushed back with a sparkly headband. Bean's hair was black, and it only came to her chin because it got tangled if it was any longer. When Bean put on a headband, it fell off. Ivy wore a dress every day. Bean wore a dress when her mother made her. Ivy was always reading a big book. Bean never read big books. Reading made her jumpy. Bean was sure that Ivy never stomped in puddles. She was sure that Ivy never smashed rocks to find gold. She was sure that Ivy had never once in her whole life climbed into a tree and fallen out. Bean got bored just looking at her. So when her mother said she should play with Ivy, Bean just shook her head. "No thanks," she said. "You could give it a try. You might like her," said Bean's mom. "Next train for boring is leaving now," yelled Bean. Her mother frowned. "That is not very nice, Bean." "I was nice. I said no thanks," said Bean. "I just don't want to, okay?" Okay, her mother sighed. "Have it your way." So, for weeks and weeks and weeks, Bean didn't play with Ivy. But one day, something happened that changed her mind. That is the end of chapter 1. If you want to read chapter 2, you'll have to tune in over at Sophie Blackall's page.